Mattel releases a new version of Uno called Fuck You Know. It's like Uno, but there's a ton of new special cards, and all of them are designed to fuck over the next player. What are some of these special cards? The blue shell card. When played, it targets the player that is winning and makes them draw until they get a blue card. Let's introduce some of that good old Mario Kart frustration to Uno. Let's also do a lightning bolt. Everybody except the person who drew the card loses 2 turns. So basically the person that draws gets 2 additional turns. And if they have lightning bolt and 2 playable cards, they win from trace. Assuming they can all stack. Everyone draws cards until a yellow 5 is drawn. Loophole, somebody jumps in on their own yellow 5, or simply holds both. I played with write-ins once and it was swap hands with a player of your choice. One person would have half the deck and another player had 2 cards. Needless to say, shit hit the fan a couple times. Lamau. I did that with 7s and 0-7 would do a deck swap with someone of your choice. 0 would swap everyone's entire deck pass to the left. This could duck you over because the person to the right of you could have very bad or a lot of cards. My youth group has Uno rules that are insane. If a 7 is laid, you must be silent until another is laid. If you speak, you draw 1 card per word. 5 makes you hit the card, and the last hand on draws a card. 0 is skip, and skip is double skip. Draw 2 can be stacked. This makes the game absolutely crazy. My family does the draw 2 rule. It's always great fun when one person puts down a draw 2 and then everyone following has a draw 2 and it gets back to the original person and they have to draw like 12 cards. Unless you're the person drawing 12 cards, like I was in this scenario. We had something similar happen, but it was even worse. After dealing, it's a skip, so it goes past the person to my left. The person then proceeds to play a +4, then the next person stacks it, the person before me, and then I stacked it. This brought it up to a +12, and the person after me, who keep in mind hasn't had a turn yet, ends up drawing 12 because they don't have the last card. Stacking is the best house rule ever made. Stacking nearly ruined my relationship with my sister Lowell. She would put down not only draws in a single turn, but also reverses and skips so that it would land on me every time we were playing against each other. Needless to say, 9-year-old me wasn't too pleased with that. Reverse back to me, skip you, pick up 2, 4, 8 Uno. No, you pick up 12. Pick up 16, Uno out. Highly advise you all to look into a card game called Exploding Kittens. It's literally what Op was asking for. The duck you version of Uno. Shit almost made my wife divorce me. Came here just to say this was surprised how far I had to scroll down to find it. Super fun game. Nope, cards are my fave. The first time I ever played, we had a group of 5 people in total. We had to get the rule book out to prove that you could nope and nope, and thus creating a yup allowing the original card to go through. Someone was being set to draw the exploding kitten and used a nope to try and stop it, but then I threw down my own nope and they said that wasn't allowed. The rule book proved me right and they were eliminated on their next turn. The yup showed up one more time the next game for yet another highlight of the day, when a guy yuped himself on accident and took an attack card because he lost track of what was going on. Turned out this threw the real target of the exploding kitten off, and while we all were still laughing about it, they drew it with full confidence and got very mad. The reactions when you nope a nope is always entertaining when everyone is still getting used to the game. Inception. Select a player. You and said player play a sub-game of Uno to decide who has to draw 15 cards. Loser draws, but nobody really wins in this. This would work better with some sort of mini-game. Having a game of Uno inside a game of Uno sounds cool, but it'd be really boring for everyone else. If you can come up with a really short game that you can fit in there, it would probably work. Instead of a whole sub-game of Uno, you could just do it as shuffle on hand, draw at random, and reveal. 1. Higher card wins, loser takes 5 cards. 2. If the higher card is the same color as the loser's, loser takes 10 cards. 3. If the higher card is a draw 2, it's 7, but if the draw 2 is the same color as the loser's card, it's 9. 5. If both players draw and reveal a draw 2, the winner is based on rainbow order, with red being the weakest color and blue being the strongest. 6. If both players draw and reveal draw 2s of the same color, they both take the penalty for a matched color winning draw 2. 7. A wild draw 4 beats a plain wild. If the higher card is a wild, Loser takes 15 cards, or 19 for wild draw 4. If both players reveal a wild, they each draw 7, 152 rounded down, or 9 if they're both wild draw 4s, 192 rounded down. 8. One skip card skips past that draw challenge and mandates a new one. A double skip ends the matchup with a tie and no drawing required. 9. Reverse puts the loss and the accompanying penalties onto the opponent no matter their card, as if they had had their own card played against them. If both players reveal a reverse, it's another draw and reveal. 10. If both players reveal the same color and number, they each draw 5, plus half, to a minimum of 1, the value of the number on their card. When I was 10, I was playing Uno with 8 members of my family. My boisterous, outspoken 80-year-old grandpa kept screwing my quiet, demure 75-year-old grandma whenever it was his turn. After several rounds of this, my grandma finally dropped a wild draw 4 on my grandpa and said, "Take that, ducker." We all sat in stunned silence and then had one of the most gut-busting laughs I can remember from my childhood. Anyway, thanks for reminding me of the one and only time I ever heard my grandma curse. No, there is no free speech in Canada. I don't get it. I feel stupid. Same. New cards? Here are some. Pick up 20, non-negotiable, which means it can be added on 2, plus 4 for every one deck reveal every trick card ever, A plus 2, plus 4, skip, reverse and a wild all in one. For a second I misread deck. Thought it was something worse. Don't want anyone finding out about my secret duck. The next person takes off one of his clothing item. Note that this card is to be removed from the deck when playing with family. You spelled added wrong. Stupid autocorrect. This sounds like a drinking game in the making. Try frantic. It seems virtually unknown outside of Switzerland, sadly. Which sucks, because it's basically better Uno. Naturally, you'll need the title cards. Duck you, the next player has to draw the entire discard pile except for the fuck you card. No cancels effect of the last played card. Played exclusively by the player that would have had the next turn, thus overriding any skip or reverse cards, and overriding the player that would have received the turn. If used after someone calls Uno, they have to draw 4. You know. Landmine. If you play this card, you get to place another one of your hand cards face down on the table. The next player that plays a card that matches your landmine card has to draw that many cards on top of usual play. Nice try, Munchkin designers. I was gonna say, just steal all the Munchkin mechanics. For good measure, grab some of the cards from Flux. Munchkin's super fun and easy to pick up, but man is some of its mechanics cruel. I own the Adventure Time one, and even that shit is mean. The first time I played it was with a bunch of people who do not play games typically, and seeing every one of them light up as they realized, wait, I can screw over the other players for my own benefit. Was like watching a bunch of light bulbs go off. Total anarchy. Good old-fashioned counterspell. Art stolen directly from MTG. May or may not be a MTG card taped to an Uno card edit. I got plenty of counterspell cards in stock to use for an experiment if I ever feel like it. I may or may not be that asshole counter tribal deck player and Wizards counter deck player smile. Pick up the whole ducking deck Lamau, pick up the entire discard pile except for the top card, cause fuck you. Person next to you has AIDS now. That would really suck though. In fact, I'm not just sure of it, I'm HIV positive. If anyone would like something to play in the background while reading this, here's Uno the movie, youtube.com. This YouTube video has its own IMDb page, imdb.com. Here's looking at you. Scheherazade, everyone puts aside their hands. The discard pile and deck are shuffled and everyone is dealt a new hand. You now play a sub-game of Duck You Know. The last player left keeps the remaining cards and adds them to their hand when the regular game resumes. Everyone else gets to discard one card. Yes, you can play Scheherazade again during a sub-game. Yes, there's more than one in a deck.